ahead and look at that.
Okay, I won't eat right now then.
Don't do it.
I just
What are you
like
doing
a blue
in here?
spirit. What?
John!
Real quick question. So, I was talking to Patrick. He doesn't know who's in his game. Robert? I'm sorry, Robert. Not
I brought
Robert.
Phantom of the
a
Yeah,
spoon
exactly.
if you
So
want
does
one.
he have
A fork.
I have a fork. I heard you say that's what you didn't have one.
8 different people handed me a fork in here.
all the
Sorry,
cameras
alright,
look
fine.
good. Whoops, all the cameras look good.
I think so.
I think so. All right.
Okay.
Last time I'll bug you.
Okay, I love you, John. Be safe. Drink more alcohol.
Love you way more.
This camera needs to go this way.
Well, thank you for fixing that.
No, you are such a brat.
No, this has like a several second delay. So.
Yes, I get the live view.
Yeah,
There you
Rory
go.
gets live view.
Is free.
Why does it want to spin on itself?
It's
So you gotta
not all the
overcompensate,
way-
is that
it's
it?
not all the way
Wait.
balanced.
Do we
There we
even
go.
know what level is?
I
Fingers look like a large fork.
fingers are large forks.
It wa-
Why
no,
were we
it
born
wasn't-
with
it
these
wasn't-
phalanges?
It wasn't a 14-hour drive. It was a
Okay.
9-hour drive that ended up going 10
I'm just gonna
hours.
steal that.
So
let's
let's
just
go-
keep
let's go
talking
ahead.
so Rory.
Oh, guys,
doesn't-
we're getting started. Can you focus?
John.
John.
Josh.
John.
Joshua I think. Joshua Blake.
Joshua.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, so just for anyone who tuned in just now, we're again BlueBox Con 2021, John's 50th birthday.
He's
Maybe
so
we
old.
can say that 50 times today.
So John's
I hope
50th
so.
birthday?
Yeah, but
John's
not just
50th birthday.
repetitively. Kind of like, can you say meow 10 times, right?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, just
Kinda
like fit
that.
it into the
yeah,
conversation.
otherwise it's just too much.
Yeah, I
No,
get
that
what
makes
you're saying.
sense.
Yeah.
For John's 50th birthday, I think that should
It
be
makes
rather
sense not to
typical.
bring up John's 50th birthday too often.
No, I do. Just
That's
got annoying.
almost pushing it, which fits this group pretty well.
I don't know what you're talking about.
John's 50th birthday.
Oh, right. Okay, I'm in.
So we have Greyhawk Awakening. And so let's go ahead and start off same way we did before and go ahead and introduce both.
Oh, characters? Yeah, I can do that.
And your one character.
Could introduce a teddy bear too.
Oh, yeah.
Could.
Teddy
Could.
Kins
So
McGee.
yeah, let's just go around, and this is going to be slightly different than the last one simply because, well, I'm here.
Yeah, and you're doing the two things at once.
Yeah.
We've got the other chair ready for you, so you can just jump
Just
back
jump
and
back and
forth.
forth.
Yeah.
Actually, that
Gotta
would
move
be
this
kind of
way.
fun.
Gotta move this way.
I'll
think about it, but there's cables over here.
Yeah,
so
there's-
I've already knocked the
We
camera
should
down.
not do that.
And John, no more.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
Hi everyone, I'm Evelyn. I play Elandra currently on Greyhawk Awakening. She is a half-elven ranger. I previously played Millie Von Tonth. She was a half-elven swashbuckler. She died in a very tragic but heroic way. Yeah, so yeah, that's me.
Did you introduce both characters already?
Yeah.
That was fast.
That was really fast. All right.
She's good and quick.
I want to apologize for the length of mine now. So,
Never apologize for the length.
listen, this is a PG channel.
PG-13.
Okay, then we're fine.
We're fine.
So, my first character for this campaign was Sherwin. They caught up.
Yeah,
Was Sherwin with his trusty steed, Winston. Sherwin was and is still technically a level 6 cavalier who came in second place at the joust. Second place
It
at the
wasn't
joust.
first.
And was a lovely character. Attempted to die multiple times,
He
and
did.
multiple times was suddenly revived. So it was pretty phenomenal. At one point, he left parts of his guts in a dirt circle. So that's Sherwin. We'll miss him until he's back again. And on the other side, we have Rin Autumn Crest, the most lovable half-elf cleric, who's very inquisitive and loves following Brim's orders as the leader of our trusty band.
Yes, he is the head of the party.
He is.
Mr. Brim!
Mr. Brim!
Hello, my name is Brimstone. I am a sixth of... Oh, wait, sorry. Ooh. Used to doing that. Hi, I'm Joshua Blake of NPC Voices, and I play Brimstone, which the party still hasn't learned his last name, which in this upcoming episode they probably will.
yeah, his father Aaron,
His
yeah.
father Aaron. Hopefully he survives.
Fingers crossed.
That's pretty much it for me. Half ogre, sexy, himbo, yeah.
Carries a white teddy bear.
Carries a white teddy bear, Teddykins. Which
Oh,
he's-
you named it.
No, he actually hasn't named it. I've named it. Grim hasn't.
Gotcha.
And I realized I didn't say my real name. Okay, keep going.
Rin
What?
Autumn Crest.
Yeah, you are. Just,
Terry, Jikimiak. Second.
yeah.
Doom it.
I think it's Rory's turn.
Right.
Hey!
Yeah, so I play Gimbal, Wizard Illusionist, which I hear they don't last very long, and he almost didn't.
He hasn't lasted long. Version 2 has.
Yes, but it's still him.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Gimbal 2.0. Yeah, ooh, with a little tweak.
There's a tweak in there
Take
now.
that
A little less
saturation.
constitution.
Yeah, saturation down a bit.
He feels a little sick on the regular.
Yeah, but he's all of 3'1", and he,
One Gimbal standard unit.
yeah, he's created a
Yeah.
standard unit of measurement, kind of poke fun at him, but you know, he is one of the 3 original of the crew. So that's kind of interesting to think about. But yeah, so the Wizard Illusionist, little gnome. Yeah, right?
Yeah.
All right.
We already have a question on
sweet.
here.
What's
the
left
question?
of Gimbal?
No, not that question.
Yeah, what is left of
Everything but
Gimbal?
an ear and a finger,
Yep.
and
was
then he's
ta-
got some extra
Oh.
We
swords.
need to get rid of some more.
I was talking about, is this the first time you've all seen each other in person?
Yeah.
I mean, no.
Kind of, sort of.
I mean, well, I guess you.
No.
Yeah, and these
I've
two.
seen
Yeah,
him.
we've
We-
met in person.
We used to date.
Look, it's the first time that I've been here.
Rory
yeah,
has-
there we go.
yeah.
Gosh,
Yes.
Rory.
Because Josh DM'd our one
Right.
shot, and
Wow.
then I've known him forever. So.
Yeah. And then there's Rory.
Then there's me.
But
Yeah.
now we have all seen. So next year when you ask us, we can say yes.
Yes.
Or
no.
Except for
We can say
Vivi.
We can't.
Because
No?
Vivi will be there.
No,
Vivi's not
borders
here.
will still be closed.
No, we're going to make sure she comes next
We're gonna have
year.
it in Canada.
And yes, Josh has dated everyone.
Yes.
Oh yeah,
That's
yeah.
true.
Yeah, I'm just. No, I'm not gonna make that joke.
So we'll go about the same way as we did before. We'll just stick it to a couple. I do have some specific questions for you guys.
Do you want me to roll the
I don't know what
D12
the
again?
D12 is.
I got
yes.
it. Okay, so I'll go first. So I got 11.
11. I don't think we got that.
That was a good year.
Yeah,
So-
2011.
1911.
That's a good gun.
That's good.
So, prior to our games, do you, and if so, how much, prep for the game?
Oh, I prep lots. Before every single game, I make sure I remember exactly what happened last time, so that I can present that. But as far as like character preparation, I do depending on like what we're going into and if we are at a break point in. Because obviously, if we're in the middle of a combat, you can't really do much prep other than pray maybe. But
Yeah.
but as far as like if we're in a spot where we're able to rest or I might look through my stuff and prepare, make sure I have everything that I need or buy whatever we need from the shops. We haven't been to Hamlet in a long time. We haven't been to a city in a long time, so it would be nice to go back to one of those sometime. Hopefully. I need more arrows.
We need to kill Halia before we go back to any city.
We're gonna mix up the order, so you're gonna go second.
What?
You
Why?
can't go in the same order every time. That makes
Why?
it really boring.
Really predictable, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So you're up.
Just like it's throwing you off right now. So,
Yeah, so now I have
So
no idea what I'm
Josh.
doing.
Josh, do you prep before you
Okay,
games?
so it
before
depends.
Greyhawk?
It depends. Kind of like what Evelyn was saying. It depends on what, like, the session that we were coming back after the Gary Con when, like, Brim had the absolute effing meltdown.
Yeah.
I had to prep a lot for that session. Just more mental and just because I don't have to do what happened last time.
Yeah.
I just have to scramble to get the Monster Monday.
Yeah.
So usually I just have that
He
up.
does it the day before, yet he has to scramble.
Yes, I
I mean,
scramble.
I've seen him write one of them on his stream, so I know what the process is.
Usually it's much easier than that stream. But usually I look over how much health Brim has because Brim doesn't have spellcasting, he doesn't have anything like that. So I
Yeah.
just have to look over his health, what his armor class is at, whether he's about to die, and then beg Terry to heal me out of game and in game.
Oh well, that's different kind of.
Yeah. But not much prep unless it's been an emotional session like this next one. I really will need about probably an hour prep beforehand of
Yeah.
just thinking, getting my mind into what Brim is, because it's gonna be fun.
It's gonna be great.
Terry, you're up.
Yeah, no, that's good. I'm very similar to Evelyn. In fact, I just ask Evelyn what happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
basically.
literally it every week.
Yeah.
Can you remind me what we did last week?
Yeah.
Cool. Now, truthfully, with Rin, I'm doing a little more because I actually bought a leather-bound drawing book where I'm actually going in and sketching things that we've done. It's a slow process. School just ended. For those that don't know, I teach at a college, so we just finished, and I got to go back in and catch up. But now I'm doing more with him than I did with Sherwin, and with Sherwin, it was just a lot of reminding me what the backstory was, especially on those where I actually had to talk about my backstory. But no, I just Evelyn, what are we doing this week?
Or what was the quote that this person said?
Yep.
Because
Could you put that in Discord so that I can write it down? Thanks.
God.
Yeah.
When you quoted Brim directly, he's like, yeah, I guess. You seem to have that word for word, so yeah, I guess that's what I said.
And if you haven't seen that episode, make sure you check out the YouTube channel for BlueBoxRPG.
Nope.
What about you, Rory?
Yeah, Rory.
Rory?
I would love to know. How it goes.
About,
Brim's 50.
let's see. So how much prepping do I do before a game?
Yeah.
It would be about 168 hours. Or a week. So my brain doesn't necessarily ever leave the game. Obviously, I tune out for 5 minutes here or there. But really, like, for example, this last session, right? So he leveled up, and I picked his spells prior to going into the combat, right? And he also has a medallion that holds a level 1, level 2, and level 3 spell.
Right.
About that.
And he also now has a ring that can turn him invisible once a day. And
Or
he also
once
has
a week
staff
with greater
or that.
invisibility.
Or he has a staff that can cast darkness.
Got all the.
Gives him alternate.
Yeah, I was like, wait, where are all our magic stuff? Gosh dang.
Well, I
Right.
have my bow.
You guys don't argue with them. That's why I made
Yeah,
sure I
that's
got a couple
true.
scrolls last time.
Yeah.
I'm like, I want to take these. Rory's like, oh.
Okay. I didn't realize you could use them. So I was like, oh,
Yeah, that's
I mean, that's going to be an interesting dynamic. And so there's like all these things, right? And so he prepped Shadow Step, and he had the tree, and so there's things he was going to do what he did to the orc, but to the wizard. But the wizard left or escaped.
Jerk.
And so, like, all that kind of planning or the verbiage or stuff, you know, legitimately probably 3 to 4 hours if you combine it all, but it's all throughout the week that, especially when I'm in the car, I'm thinking.
Pat Draws is on point right now. Rory falls into character at work. Would you like fries with that? Customer, yes please. Rory, roll for dexterity.
Did you drop the fry or not?
Okay, it's your turn to roll for
Yep,
our next
go ahead
question.
and roll.
Oh, my turn?
Yeah.
That was skipping the order because you're going in
D12.
order.
D12. You tell me.
Yeah, D12.
Why do we keep you around? 9.
9.
Yeah.
Oh,
9.
We're skipping 9.
9?
Okay.
We're scared. Okay.
Because we did that one last session.
Did we?
12.
Whoa.
That's how you gotta
Go big or go home. That's what I always say.
What have you learned about the group that you play with? So specifically with our group, and when we're all virtual, right? So
Right.
it's kind of interesting in that.
Yeah.
dynamic. But what have you learned about the group as you've played with us?
I've learned that I love these crazy people that we play with every week, and it's been such a great experience. And it is a very different thing playing virtually than in person, but I think that we also together make some of the best D&D.
Damn. Just went there. So now Rory's second to get us out of order.
Yeah.
Wasn't
Then
expecting
Terry,
that.
then me.
Should have known better. What have I learned from this group? Wasn't ready. I'm in this chair, not that chair.
Perfect.
Not prepared.
However, yeah. So this is me when I'm casting something like babushka.
You're not the Babushka!
What
are you doing?
And so what have I learned? Just, I guess.
Oh, music's a little
Music's
loud.
a little loud.
I don't know how to adjust that. It was good last time. I don't know how to adjust it.
Music down.
I could also put my microphone closer to my face.
Yeah, jerk.
Yeah.
I don't want to mess up his stuff. But it seems like it should be this one.
Okay.
But that's probably gonna get us.
Sorry for the
Oh,
scratches on
Music
the.
is down.
Okay.
No, that sounds better. Yeah.
Okay, is that better?
I didn't do anything.
Can you hear me now?
All right.
So, anyways, what have I learned? Just the different dynamics, right? So, we have Vivi in Canada, you're here, you're in Michigan, and you're somewhere on the East Coast, West Coast.
Yes.
Depending on the day.
And so we connected through your Instagram, right?
It's because of Rory that I'm here.
Vivi and I connected through a one-shot, and then through BlueBox I met you guys.
Yeah.
And so I don't have a good answer other than just meeting new people and what you learn there, right? So this is a horrible thing to say, but it's a good point in the end. You roll so many natural 20s
Really? I never noticed.
that on stats, you cheat. It's that good. However, consistently on Sunday streams, you roll natural 20s. And it's viewed, right? And so I think the short answer to the long answer I'm giving is trust, right? Learning to trust different people and different dynamics when you can or can't prove it.
Right.
That it's like, you know what? And that's how I operated my one-shots virtual, is I'm going to trust your roll, live show.
Right.
But you consistently rolled so many natural 20s that it's like, is she? Well, your Sunday streams consistently showing up, and it's like, no, Rory, you need to trust. So that's what
Well,
I
I mean, there's a weight in the die.
No,
so.
there's
Yeah,
not.
that's why I wanna buy
It's
her.
with all the
There's
different
totally
dice.
a weight.
I agree.
I have so many different
She
dice
gets
that I
like little
use.
duckies or something in there, and it's just offset a little bit.
It's like, could you put the duckies towards the one?
I love the duckies.
So,
Reframe the question one more time.
what have you learned?
Okay.
What have you learned about the group? So about us as you've played with us.
Well, okay, so and so I was the latecomer, obviously. I came in, Vivi's on there. I was the latecomer. I came in on like episode 20 or
Yeah,
something,
right around
30
there.
something, somewhere there. And so obviously, for me, it took me a little more time to warm up to the group as a whole. Because there was already that dynamic that already existed, and you see that a lot of places, whether it's work environments, sports teams, things like that. And so what I found was it was really my previous D&D experience wasn't as heavily role play. Focused, which is fine because there's different D&D experiences based on who you're with, etc. And what I've come to love and what I plan to continue as I move into other groups that I D&D with. I'm not in as many groups as you guys. I'm in one right now, so you guys can eat me. Is that I plan on continuing this role play. Yeah, there's just a little bit there. I continue to plan using that role play in my characters, but I've learned that from the group and how the group has done it, which I think has been fabulous. Which then, naturally for me, coming from a theater background, allows me to tell stories, and I love. My first D&D sessions were not so much about the stories, but now through this and through working with each of you, I see a great way to make those stories come alive.
Nice.
Yeah, follow that up.
Yeah, seriously, I'm following up all three of these. I'm like, okay.
Mic drop.
Yeah,
Mic
it's like,
drop. Mic drop.
Vivi, can you go for me? Vivi? Oh gosh.
Oh, Vivi.
Vivi, she ran off again.
Yeah,
She's
sorry.
by the food truck probably.
Canada's fault.
Yeah.
We could actually say that now.
In Canada.
Blame Canada.
Blame Canada. Okay.
What would Brian Boitano do?
Blame Canada.
Okay. They gave me a bit of deliberation. Deliberation? Is that the word I was looking at? I don't know. John, you can quote me on this later. What I learned from the group was to trust, to be more okay with new people. I'm just taking bits of everyone's just being like, yeah. No, it truly, like, this group cannot tell you probably how many times I've reached out to them after a session and gone, hey, I'm so sorry for how much I spoke or how much I, did anything. Was I too much? And, every time, they're just like, shut up. Just like, shut your dirty mouth. You're doing fine. And it's really made me feel more comfortable with the group as a whole, because for one, I'm not usually comfortable with new people. I'll sit back and chill out, or I'll go to the very end of the spectrum, be way too hyper in meeting everyone, as people at the con today have probably seen. But this group is the best D&D group I've ever played with in my entire 12 years of life. I trust them so much. I am okay just being myself and crying. I don't cry. That is something I do not do in front of people. I do not do on my own. I maybe tear up. I don't cry. But sobbing, on stream with these weirdos and feeling okay with that, and having just such a personal space that John has cultivated has brought us all in. And once again, I'll bring back the point that if it wasn't for Rory, I would not have been in this campaign, because he brought me in as an evil big baddie that got spanked by John. And that is how we grew closer.
That's right. Because in the second one shot that I ran,
That's a great way to
you
grow
were the
close.
big bad boy.
I was the big bad boy.
Get spanked by John.
And I was super excited, so happy that you brought me on for that. It was a ton of fun. And I almost killed the characters. But
So something you, yes, and we were
Yes.
behind the screen. I was like, Josh,
stop.
I know this is going to happen. Please, I know this is going to happen. Just
chill
and it
out.
happened. Like, thank you for. But you know, kind of the learning about the group thing. When I saw you on Instagram, right? You were driving somewhere late at night, traffic jam, East
Yeah.
Coast. And I was actually nervous to reach out to you to do the voice, because here's Josh, NPC voices. I don't know
Yeah.
squat about him, so I don't
Right.
know if you're some P or some stature, like pee out of a pod, not urine.
Oh. I was like, just some pee? Cool.
Yeah.
I guess I'm
So
a
I
number
didn't-
one somewhere.
There's just me reaching out to this guy that does voices. Can you? And so, just learning the relationships, like you've said, also.
I love you guys.
Yeah.
Where's Vivi?
Your turn.
Roll.
Oh, crap. Okay.
I want to roll it.
Two!
Wait, I think we did 2 last time as well.
Wasn't
Yes.
two a good one?
Okay,
though?
let me get
It was. We'll get to it. We'll
Okay.
do another one.
9! Which
That-
you
We already did.
10!
We've done 11,
We've done
12, and now we're
10.
10. Oh, you did 10 already?
Okay, so I'm picking.
That was like one of the ones.
What edition is your favorite? Like, without any kind of pressure of, you better not say 4th edition. But and which I've never played, so I don't
Yeah,
know. But
yeah.
what is your guys' favorite edition?
3.5 Pathfinder.
No.
It's definitely 60. Oh, no, that doesn't exist. No,
Yes.
so this is a
Not
weird
yet.
thing is none. Because I think there are elements in all of them that play really well. We were talking about this, was this last night or this morning? I don't remember. But you weren't even there.
That was the pillow talk.
That was, oh, sorry.
Don't worry. But for example, in 3.5 and Pathfinder 1, there are just so many different skills that you can have. So many different. Why are you leaving me?
Because I just look so offset in the camera. I just
Oh
realized.
yeah, no,
It
that
looks
makes
super
sense.
weird.
You want to be center of that picture. I understand. There's so many things that you can kind of play with, whereas 5e allows beginners to get in and learn it
Very
easier.
easily.
Because I'll tell you, doing that Cavalier was very difficult for me because I'd only ever done 5e campaign.
It looked difficult.
And trying to keep track of all that was crazy. And so I think there's this combination that you could take with all of them and put them together. So in the past, homebrew to me, I always felt was bad. But the more I play, the idea of homebrew that builds on what we already have can be very powerful.
So is it fair to say your favorite edition is John's edition?
Yeah, I think the way John does run it, I think, allows for that flexibility. I like the fact that I can't heal overnight, like in 5e.
Same.
Makes
Yeah.
more sense.
Yeah.
Same.
You don't immediately heal.
You know,
What?
I've had to counterbalance that. I didn't think of the just slow heal. But you can only long rest once a day,
right.
and it has to be after so many hours.
Yeah.
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 Which
that's
isn't the
way we do it,
mechanism
yeah.
in the book, as far
No.
as I know. It's just
Oh,
a
yeah.
homebrew counter rule that people have come up with
Yeah.
to counterbalance.
And it makes sense.
Well, I'm just gonna take 16-hour naps after I take.
Yeah.
16 hours.
You go, you have a 3-minute fight, and then you take another long rest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Oh.
I do like that implementation of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
Slow
It makes sense.
Yeah.
You go.
Yeah, I really thought about having a cardboard cutout of Vivi. That would have been cute.
Me, I've got to go similar to Terry, but 5th edition. 5th edition I like the most because it's the most accessible. It's the easiest. There are so many apps right now that are able to bring people into it.
That's nice.
If someone has no idea what they're doing, jump on D&D Beyond. Boom, you have a character sheet. You understand somewhat of what you're doing. 5e has just been like 3.5. I love it for the mechanics, but I love it because I learned 5e first. Because it's such an easy introduction for kids, for young adults. It like, you give them the character sheet, and it's pretty easy to read it.
It's not overwhelming
Yes.
to learn
And
all
see,
this other
I
stuff.
think part of the reason why 3.5 is my favorite is because that's the system I started with. When
Yes.
I was 18,
Yeah.
when I first came into D&D, 5e didn't exist, 4e didn't exist.
Yeah, some
It
of
was
us are old.
3.5. So
Sorry.
I think that's part of it is just because it's what's familiar, and then John, has made it his own.
Right.
So.
Yeah, no, completely agree.
What about you, Rory?
Yeah, Rory.
Huh, Rory?
For John's 50th birthday,
Because I'm
Rory.
not going to John's edition.
John's.
Because I don't want to give like a spread answer. Nothing
Yeah.
against that. But I'm going to I'm going to say 5e.
Some people just like to talk.
Just because
Yeah.
because like you said, it eases, like both of you said, it eases you in,
Yeah.
right? And so even learning stuff like how to modify characters becomes, and I don't know what it's like in other editions, to modify might be this exact same thing, but it's like, oh, I can adjust this and this really easy, and then diving into everything else was then so easy to do. Now in 3.5, it's almost like, maybe this, because I like how the feats and the skill points, that it's not
Yeah.
completely, what is it, CRP or C,
CRPG.
CPR.
right? It's not that where you're always adding points here or there,
Right.
but you can say, well, I don't want to get another health point, I want to
Right.
get another
A skill
skill
point, yeah.
And so I do like that feel of being able to tweak your character a little bit more than what 5e allows.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and it's just nice to be able to pick and choose from different ones to create the world
No, for
and
sure.
what you're creating. You didn't know this?
You can do what? Oh, the skill point thing? I learned it too late.
Yeah. You
I
can,
just
you
learned
can
it,
either
like,
take
last
an
level
extra
up.
health point every level or an extra skill point every level.
Like health point as in
One
HP.
HP.
You
One
can add
one
it.
HP.
Yeah.
1 HP or 1 skill point.
Yeah.
So I've been dumping the skill point for the last level or two because I just learned
Well,
this.
I mean, you're also a mage, so it makes sense that you
Yeah, you
like,
have a ton
are
of
building into
intelligence
your
points.
you're
Yeah.
building into your health points though.
No, well, I haven't.
Oh, poo.
Last couple levels, I haven't, so that I can increase my knowledge arcana or other skills like
Right.
that.
Things that are useful.
Yeah, I know, crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
'Cause
I just figured it out.
Brim doesn't need skill points, he needs health. That's his whole
Yeah.
point.
You
Gosh,
could have been
dang it.
taking.
All right, Vivi, you go ahead, roll.
Oh, she rolled a 12.
12.
Well,
We've already done
we
12.
Okay, Rory.
I'll keep looking while you roll.
No, Rory, you roll.
It's
You're
your
part of this
turn.
I like
group.
to roll it.
4.
Yeah, 4, which is the question I just asked you.
Oh.
Oh, 4's my favorite. So you just asked it, so it's perfect. Now it's
Oh, so this one works. This one will
American
segue
Beauty.
in. I have some like
Okay.
character-specific questions too, so this will segue into
right.
it.
Sounds
What was the inspiration for your character? And you can go first. Out of order, like you have suggested.
Wait, so we're all asking or thinking about what Brim's idea is, and
Why
then we're gonna
not?
go
How
to
do you
everyone we
create
think.
Brim?
What made you?
Honestly, I have always liked playing the big, strong characters, and so I've never played a half ogre. And I saw that amongst the list of races that John allows, or not allows, but like the spreadsheet that he had, or whatever graph. I want that graph, by the way, because I thought it was so cool. And I was like, man, that would be cool to play. But after he and I talked a bit, I'm like, man, there's just so many drawbacks, and all this, that, and the other. And then finally just started to set in more and more. I was like, well, he would have wanted to be a paladin or a cleric or something like that, but those aren't possible for half ogres straight out the gate. Which now I found out is possible to be a cleric, which I'd love to be able to push paladin at some point. But, John, cough, cough. I don't know, really. Like, Brim's name came to me as I was writing his backstory. And as I was just drafting like this, I think, John, it's like 9 or 10 pages. After just writing it up, like, yeah, you're like, oh, mine's like 3,000. Sherwin was a town, and same with Millie's, but
Too soon.
too soon. But literally the name Brimstone came to me because it was in a part of his backstory. It was just like all around him flame, and it just came to me fire and brimstone. And it was like,
so good.
all right. And it was the name that was given to him that you'll find soon enough by Father Aaron.
Alright.
And so,
Oh.
yeah. So
Unless Father Aaron's dead.
unless Father Aaron's dead.
Or
yeah.
evil.
Or evil.
Oh,
Or
no.
dead and evil.
Dead and evil. He's just a
dead?
penny lord.
Oh no! And they don't smell like the palings do. The pale lords are different. They don't have the smell.
Yeah, that's what's freaking weird. He
All right.
puts on cologne.
He knows how to use
next?
deodorant.
Yeah.
All right, so I'll talk about both of them. So for Millie, she actually started out as her accent and her attitude. I actually didn't have an idea of what class I wanted to play yet, but when the voice, I literally, the voice came to me one day, and then the name, and I was like, oh no, she's gonna be a pirate. So yeah, so Millie's whole attitude is she a little bit influenced by like Eartha Kitt as Catwoman, like that very like I am very like in your face and I'm going to give you a lot of attitude, and then the whole like her vulnerable side came through in a lot of her connections. But yeah, her initial thing was literally the voice and the accent.
Yeah. That was your inspiration to then create her.
It came to me and I was like, oh, this is gonna be a fun character. And then we never got to learn the rest of her backstory. Anyway,
Anyway, it's fine. It's fine.
Alondra was because after Millie. Well, when Millie had gotten crit and I didn't know if she had died or not, I was like, okay, what do I want to? If Millie has died? If this critical percentage is high enough that it kills Millie, what do I want to play next? What would be something that might be helpful to the party and the place that they're at, but also something that I would really like to play? And Alondra actually came to me because I realized we didn't have a lot of range damage dealing. And I thought it would be good to have that, but not only that, Rangers really appeal to me. They also get a little bit of healing spells like further on, so she can help with that once she's a little higher level. And then her whole personality is literally because her charisma score was so low. She's just like, I don't know how to deal with people.
I was really curious about that because
love it.
You're, if I'm not mistaken, Irda, but
Yeah.
Millie was very much like
She was high charisma.
high charisma, all about the people or manipulating them or whatever. She was not weary in that way, right? She had a little bit of reserve to her. But Yolanda,
Yolanda.
Babushka!
she is very much like, I'm a stone, don't touch me, punch your face in. And you even have the voice to just like, look,
Well,
I don't want to talk about her.
And like Rin knows a little bit more about like who she
Right.
is and what makes her tick, and he's one of the few people that she feels like she can talk to, other than Phineas, because Phineas is
This is the bestest voice.
yeah. But she's really only been close to one other person in her life, which is their common friend, and so it's such a weird thing for her to like try to interact with people, and she just doesn't know what to do with herself. She wants to do the right thing, and she wants to be a heroic adventurer. Like that's like her main driving force. But like she doesn't know how to really talk to people about that. She's like, oh, can I join you guys? Is that okay? So yeah.
So, well, we'll start with
Winston.
Winston. Did you read what?
Yeah, it was like how it must have been
Was it
hard
difficult
making a
to
character
read my story?
alongside the majestic warhorse.
Yeah. No. So John bullied me into Cavalier. I'm kidding, John. I'm kidding.
He's like, you don't play Cavalier.
No, so when I originally got invited in, obviously I didn't have any characters preset. My in-person group had canceled because of pandemic. We had done some online stuff, but it wasn't working as well. And can you behave? Oy vey.
He's 12.
And so a lot of the development of a Cavalier initially was understanding Cavalier. From there, developing the background was pretty easy because I like creating backgrounds for characters. I've been doing it for years in World of Warcraft, and for me, in theater, of course, we're constantly creating characters, and their full backgrounds are not always there within the script, so you have to develop them. So building the background for me was a lot of fun within the parameters of what a Cavalier is, which was very difficult because Cavaliers have such a strict code of conduct, which then plays into Rin now, who I could develop more freely. And Rin is a character So, you know, in the past I've done paladins, I've done clerics, I've done bards. I like support characters a lot of the times. They're a lot of fun to me. And so I started developing him, and immediately I kind of knew I wanted him to be a wonderment type person. A lot of my past characters have been heroic in some sort of way, and I didn't want a character that was going to be heroic in some sort of way. I wanted somebody who was inquisitive and curious and still discovering life in a very simple growing up life, no tragic background, which is very different from me. All of my past characters on every campaign I've played, some tragic, terrible thing happened.
Yep.
But his parents are still alive. They're chilling in Fishtown.
Until John gets
Until John gets a hold of them, yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah, seriously.
man.
Yeah, my father was in a temple, man.
That's a good point. No, Mom, Dad. But, you know,
They're gonna be
it's just
sleeping
very
with the
inquisitive.
fish
And then being able to, you know, see these new people. So Fishtown, small town in the Greyhawk compendium. Hard to be bigger, but not necessarily worldly per se. So running into Brim and running into Gimbal and running into Lilith has been very interesting for him. And then having somebody in Alondra who he can connect to helps that process. And so I just like writing backstories, and there's more to him that I'm not going to give away right now. But I think, you know, just being able to go those different directions has been a blast. How about Gimbal?
So for Gimbal,
This is what I wanted to hear.
it's quite simple. What is an illusionist? What's another name for an illusionist?
Magician?
Mathematician.
Magician.
Wait.
Math isn't real.
Yes, it is.
So, I'm
Like a really long time ago.
We're going to find out. Like, he's moving to California, but he ends up in, like, Argentina.
math.
Because he can't math.
so Gimbal, right?
Yeah.
Magician, right?
Yeah.
Wizard of Oz.
Ah.
Now wait, for anyone who didn't pick this up, Wizard of Oz.
Yeah.
Ah.
Ignore the man behind the curtain.
Right?
Ah.
And so, I don't know if this will, I don't,
You don't have your
I'm on
green
the wrong
screen
camera.
up, so.
Yeah,
Oh,
there
here we
you
go. Now I don't know which way to swipe.
Yeah,
Which way is my way?
There you are.
So his hands are the same. So it's literally based off that picture, right?
Nice.
From the hair.
All right.
And so it started there because he was a gnome illusionist, right? And then it started with that. That's how that picture came about. And so then it's been a continual development of he wasn't doing a lot of damage, so he's extremely pacifist. Even
that.
all this time, he's extremely pacifist, right?
Yeah.
Minus, and he didn't intend to do
The
it.
burning hands.
No, the barrel. Well, the
Oh.
burning hands also.
Yeah.
Wait a minute, the barrel that killed a couple of people? That's weird.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just like 144 damage.
Yeah, God.
Almost took
including
out
to
two of
us.
the party members.
Yeah.
So, but all in all, he's very. Even the current spells he picks, right? The last two he
Yeah.
picked was Shadow Step, and I forget the other one. Part of that is because they don't cost money.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're
Always good.
really
Nothing with
expensive
spell
at that level.
components.
You know, like 150 gold
Yeah.
at level 4. So, yeah, it's nasty.
There's a reason why Millie left you all her gold.
We'll never be able to afford
so-
a donkey.
To cast once at level 4?
Yeah, 150 gold per spell.
Yeah. And so his
Burns
development
gonna be all
was
gold.
just this very simple, gnome, playful, but so that has just been magnified now to more pacifist. Let's bring the joy into the situation. Let's kind of lighten things up with a snowball fight. So that's where Gimbal is just kind of like, yeah, well, how else can we do this?
And we saw a lot of that with his interactions with Millie. Do we have to kill them all?
Right.
Really?
Right.
Yeah.
There was continual either pacifist type statements like that or Oz statements.
Right.
Like when he was talking about his life behind the curtain or other things like that, right? So that's where he came from.
Just want to point out Millie's dead. You're
I
talking
know.
about her in the present tense. It doesn't
Yeah,
work.
so
I
it's-
was
Dead.
referring to
Dead.
a past
So
conversation.
it starts with a D.
I'm well aware.
You mean-
Thank you.
So-
Would you like to know my backstory that you'll never get to learn about?
No,
Yes,
we'll learn about
actually.
it in a later episode.
So Josh,
Yes.
let's see here.
Melith forever.
Mills forever.
Millith for Tuesdays.
Oh,
Yes.
I'm going to jump to this one because we are nearing the end here soon.
So,
Oh.
In the last session,
Yes.
Rin and Brim,
Yeah.
really close there. Rin and Brim heard Father Aaron whisper.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Can you whatever you're willing to,
Break down what.
like what went through his mind? Because what I remember was basically, I'm sorry I couldn't become what you wanted. Did I remember that right?
No. It was. I have it written down.
Because I
Good,
thought it
because I
was-
don't.
Because that, excuse me for this, but that effed me up. Like, as
Yeah.
Brim, that really messed with me. Where was it? Greyhawk Awakening, scroll to the bottom.
Yes,
I keep it on my
Greyhawk.
phone because I can't write fast, so I can type super fast. Are you another monster come to finish me?
Right.
I was unworthy of your transformation.
Yeah.
Or
That unworthy to become your transformation part. How did that stick with Brim?
he was so confused. He what he first heard, what really stuck in Brim's mind was he was coming up. So Brim running up to help his father. He sees the chains on him, the bolt in his chest, looking back to Rin. He comes around to the side, but as he's stepping over the chains and around his father, he hears this, "Are you just another monster to finish me?" And that literally full shudder, like the full shudder you get through your body, like the goosebumps, that's what Brim felt. He literally was like, I've heard it before. And he just held his father because he's like, no, I'm able to help him. I'm able to be here for him. He may believe this, he may not understand what he's saying. Either way, I just want to get him out of this. If I never see him again, that's fine, but I just want him to survive for all the good he's done for me. Brim had, and then for the transformation, it really stuck with him there because he was like, wait, so I'm being called a monster, but through the transformation that you took me from, that you helped me grow from, you believe that you're unworthy. Is this your last goodbye? So you're waiting for me to kill you? I imagined it as he was stepping behind, kind of like the warrior's death, where you stab the sword through the spine or the nape of the neck. I assumed that Father Aaron thought that I was coming. I was his final thing. He was an executioner, and that I was going to kill him. And so he was saying his last piece to Brim, saying, I was unworthy of your transformation. And then he's like, kill me. I've said my time. And I'm like, Brim, that's why Brim was super quiet last session. Other than asking for Rin to heal his father, he's just held his dad. Just kind of arms up under the arms or on his knee, whatever needs be. Just hold him there.
Then he squeezed him too tight,
And then he's dead.
I forgot about the bolt.
The puppies.
So, Jerry, you've kind of explained this behind the curtains. But what was the motivation to retiring Sherwin?
So, oh man. Oh, okay.
How much time we got?
Could he not see further into the
No.
future?
Okay, so a couple things. Oh, I get it. The one-eyed. Yeah. They'll
Are
play.
you short-sighted? I shouldn't say that.
Yeah.
I see what you did there.
So this is man. This could be an entire
Did he have a
hour's
blind
worth of
spot in
talk.
it?
Oh, jeez. The dad jokes are on point. So me and John actually had, me and Evelyn had multiple discussions about this. Me and John had multiple discussions about this. One of the things for me as a player is the storytelling. And stories need to flow. They need to rise and fall. There have to be natural obstacles, natural complications, natural climaxes, natural denouements. It's the end of a play where things come together. Resolutions is a good
There you
use. And so all of these things are needed in a good story. And I view, and I am never attached to a character. I will have any character I've ever played, I have no problems with it dying. In fact, my very first character, and I told John this, was a Minotaur Paladin who we ended up getting to the big bad too soon, who wiped us all out. The DM had a way to bring us back, and I said, no, mine needs to stay dead because as a paladin, he fulfilled what he was trying to do. And I felt with Sherwin, with what he had gone through, it was his choice to go after Githa, and the entire party followed. In that, we lost Millie. So it's his fault that we've lost Millie, in his mind.
Right.
Okay? It was his fault that Ashrin was injured because she took a blow that was meant for him.
Right. With with
The,
what's his name?
yep. Okay.
Short, yeah.
And so after those, and his, for the longest time, his search for Githa had been such a driving force of his character. She was finally safe. He's lost his parents. His brothers continue to run the farm, but very simple. They run the manor, run the farm, that sort of thing. And him and his sister were the closest siblings within his family. And he finally felt that he could not continue to uphold his duties as a cavalier because his thoughts would be on his sister. He's lost her once already. He, as a cavalier, has allowed one to die and another to be deathly injured in his quest. He could not protect them. Brim did knock him over once, which screwed up one of those. Sorry, Millie.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you. I'm dead.
The thing that starts with a D.
Yeah. And so there was a natural ending to his story. I could have continued to play him,
Right.
but my heart in the storytelling wouldn't have been there. Who
would've
knows?
just followed along.
Exactly. He's alive,
Yeah.
and maybe at some point Rin died. No, John.
No.
But who knows? This is the great thing about campaigns like this. You never know when they can come back.
Right.
I mean, he came back for the joust and whatnot.
Gimble
but-
came back.
Yeah, and
Different circumstances, but yeah.
And so that is why I decided to retire him. And me and John, we went like 2 weeks talking about this, with John trying to convince me to keep him, and me saying, look, this is something that as a role player, I needed to finish, let go, and move on.
Right. I think that's going to bring a lot of, at least for me, that was like a, you explained something,
Yeah.
but it's like,
Trey.
but why? Were you just sick of the rigidness of a cavalier?
No,
But
and
it's
that's
really the finale of the story
Yes.
arc for Sherwin.
And I would encourage anybody who's not done Cavalier. Cavalier can be a lot of fun. Now, hopefully the DM doesn't constantly send you in dungeons where your horse can't go. I'm not going to name names here, okay?
I need to go to the John.
But a Cavalier is actually a lot of fun to play, especially under John's rule, his rule set. I think that type of character, especially if you're looking to play a heroic character, a protector character, if that's a way you're going, I would encourage
Which
anybody.
you did really well, especially at the end. As much as
Those two giants.
as much as Gimble absolutely hates
Oh
Sherwin,
yeah.
but he does.
Yeah.
But that's what's
But you were taking actions to protect in a very
Heroic way.
heroic ways.
And that's one of the things I want more people to understand, right? Gimble hates Sherwin.
Pretty close to hates.
And that is, and that's what's so great about this storytelling, right? Sherwin, in his world, is doing what he thinks is best. Gimble doesn't see that as the best. And as such, that tension and that relationship between the two, I think, makes D&D so fantastic.
Yeah. For Gimble, as I've explained to you prior to
Yep.
pushing a couple of those buttons on stream, I let Terry know, by the way, this is where I'm going with this. What are your thoughts on it? Because Gimble has not been privy to a lot of some different scenes.
Right.
So here Sherwin is.
Because he was gone for so long.
Right.
Yeah.
Even in the dungeon, right, where you were trying to heal her and bring her back.
Yep.
All Gimble knows is that you tried to leave her.
Right.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so there's these moments,
Yeah.
oh, suddenly we're all here stuck with the giants and you're taking off.
Yeah.
He got knocked
Yeah.
out. He didn't see that.
Yeah,
the
you're right.
attempt
That's
of
exactly
trying to
it.
draw him
Didn't
away.
see that. Yeah.
So Sherwin is a betrayer in that sense because he doesn't have that insight. So
On that note, Sherwin stayed alive through multiple rolls as he was trying to get back to the elf's house. Pretty impressive by me. I had, for those that don't know, I had rolled terribly twice. My third roll, if it was a bad roll, he's
was
dead.
dead. Yeah.
I had a good roll.
Evelyn,
Yeah.
let's see here. I got a couple that I could pick from. We'll go with
Why?
You mean I look good bald?
kind of like I had asked you last interview, but with Millie, especially you played her for a while, and she went through quite a few things, relationship growth with the other characters as well as just some personal stuff. What did you learn about Millie, and as an extension yourself, as you played Millie? Millie is so much different, as we talked about, than Irida.
Oh yes.
So, was it fun kind of pushing those limits of like Millie and I don't know, the guard?
Oh, Galen.
Galen,
Oh, yeah.
like that kind of flirting kind of boundary, or what did you learn
He's
from
dead too.
Millie?
Well, so Millie actually was my very first non-good aligned character.
Okay.
She was chaotic neutral, and you kind of would see that through the mercenary aspect of why she was there. She wasn't there to help people. She was there because it made her money. But to her, looking back at her backstory, money meant survival. Money meant freedom. And so because she had none, and because she had been trapped with a grandmother who was very rigid, who was very unyielding, and looked at her father as a failure, someone who she desperately looked up to, who she saw as her idol, her grandmother constantly was telling her and her younger sister that their father was a failure, and shameful, and but she was also extremely religious, and she took a lot of that out on Millie's misbehavior in those sorts of settings, because Millie wasn't interested, and so that's why I think a lot of the issues between Millie and Ashrin as well, with the way she looked at Ashrin, she represented everything that, initially at least, represented everything that Millie had experienced as bad in her life. And Millie had literally saved up every piece of gold she could, because when she reached a certain age, her grandmother let her go to the market by herself to buy the daily supplies. So whatever money was left over from buying their daily supplies, she would squirrel it away, and then whatever little bit of stuff she could gather, that's what she packed and took with her. And she snuck out of her bedroom window in the night, snuck onto a ship, and was thankfully welcomed by a kind, who she believed was the cook. He was also the first mate, but he was very kind to her. And when she met the captain, he gave her an option. He said, because she knew how to sew from her upbringing to be a proper lady. Because the point Millie was facing at the time in her life was she was going to be married to a proper man, and they were to, she was to be a lady of a house, and she was not going to have that. And so, but she knew how to sew because of that. And the captain said, well, we're going to put you to work. If you can complete mending all these sails by the time, the day is through, you can stay with us. If you can't, you're off the ship in the middle of the ocean. And she said, all right, and she proved herself. And that's kind of how it started. So she sailed with that crew for the majority of her adulthood until she heard word that her father was alive, and then you heard a lot of what had transpired after that, when her father tried to kill her, which she doesn't know what was going on with him. He had taken a job, and then she doesn't know why he suddenly had turned on her.
And she'll never know.
And she'll never know. But that's her initial thing was vengeance. She was out for vengeance. So the bolt that she gave for Gimbal was actually the bolt that it was poisoned, and it was intended for her father. She had one bolt and the hand crossbow that nobody ever saw until Gimbal was resurrected, and she removed her coat in front of everybody for the first time, where that hand crossbow was visible. And so she was a very complex character, and she was a very different character than anything I ever had played before. But she was also a certain aspect of, she was a lot of facade. She was hurt and afraid of anybody perceiving her as weak. And so, her flirtations, yes, she enjoyed those things, but at the same time, it was because she knew it gave her some sort of
Control.
semblance of power over her life. And the moments that she had with Brim and with Lilith and you know, those things where, and even with Sherwin, with the sparring session in particular, where she kind of let herself be a little more vulnerable, that was really hard for her. And I think the biggest thing that I took away from Millie is that sometimes being able to be open and vulnerable with people is a very important thing, but it can be very difficult.
Mm-hmm.
And so...
And we've seen that even in our group dynamics, right? That stuff has come through behind the scenes.
So I think that with her, I took a lot of, like, to try to not be afraid of trusting people with my vulnerable moments.
Like when you died.
Wow. After all of that, I'm sorry.
And at all moments.
Not everyone can be as mature.
Sorry, I deal with tragedy via comedy.
I'm reading the chat now.
Say, the Ash comment was pretty on point.
What was the question? I don't know.
I can't even remember. 'Cause
They
you
were
asked me all of it.
specific.
New
Yeah.
question.
Yeah, what about you? It's for Gimbal. Well, it's 2:56 right now.
So we're still early.
We gotta wrap up.
Oh,
Okay.
we're still early.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
early.
we're
only got a
at the end
couple
of the
minutes.
stream. At the end of the stream.
Yeah.
What, are we ending?
Yeah, we're at the end of the stream. It's we were
Well, folks.
scheduled to end at 2:55.
If you haven't already,
I'm gonna. So wait. We
Wait.
got 2 minutes.
We
So
got it.
there's one last question.
Yeah.
Same as last time. I don't know if you have a different answer. But it's what? Yeah, sure, maybe you got another moment. But what is your favorite moment with John as your DM? Right. This is his 50th birthday. BlueBox Con 2021. What is a moment that you can pick out in 30 seconds to a minute?
John, tell us you're watching though, because we need to know.
I would have to say just how like very much surprised he was by the Galen situation with Millie. He was like, "Wow, okay, let's run with it," and I just appreciated the fact that he like ran with it because it was in her nature to just be like, "So I don't know what you're doing tonight, but maybe we can, you know."
Bump booties.
But yeah, I thought that was such a fun like moment in her development, and I mean it's such a weird point, but I think that was probably one of my favorites with Millie.
There.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I was like, don't come to me.
Yeah,
I was like, I
so-
don't know,
Now
man.
you know the question's coming.
Yeah.
Be prepared.
So if you just throw in a bunch of early okay. And talk to people who are next to you
We'll
as
take
you.
the pressure off. Not favorite moment, a very good moment, a memorable.
Well,
moment.
no, I mean,
There's many
and
of them.
Yeah.
well, and that's I think
Yeah.
that's the tough part. I think, you know, my fight with Aj Gajol.
Store Gajol.
Yeah,
It's a tough one.
I need to go to the store Gajol.
Exactly, that's how I remembered it.
But that
Like
fight
English.
was probably with Githa there, was probably most and really it's before the fight. It's the things that he said to Brim and he said to Millie and you know everything that was going on there. I think just was very and I think that's he took the death of Millie, the injury to Ashrin, the rescuing Githa, all of those to heart. And what John allows us to do is that he allows us to play that our characters to the fullest. And he allows the role play to be as powerful that is. And so for me, it's not so much as a single, but it's what he allows us to do that ask anybody, any of the Mad Chatters, right? Each of them will have a moment with a character and they'll be like, boom.
Yeah.
And I think that's what it is for me, too. I'm sorry, you gotta go after me again. I apologize.
I have my moment, and I'm going to start with the praising of John first, and then go into this moment. There's something I said to John a while back that he really liked and I really love, and I made it up in the moment. But the difference between DMs is very important, in having a good DM that's not only a DM that'll work with you and grow with you. Being a DM is a very religious and very special and emotional position that you need to be comfortable with your players. And John, as a GM and as a leader, as a boss, I feel that he, and this was the phrase, some DMs will take you to a cage, others will take you to a field. It's the difference between how you're going to raise your players. Some will take you to their storyline. That's it. You have their storyline, and that's what's supposed to happen. You are meant to stay in this cage and go along with what happens in this cage and where you're taken to. But John takes you to the field, where you are able to grow, you're able to move, you're able to like run and eat whatever you want and drink whatever you want, even if it's elven milk. And he's like, "Why are you doing this? That's a full heal, pretty much." And Brim doesn't realize.
Party feel awkward.
Oh, I feel good now.
Keep it clean.
But I love John as a GM because he is like with Galen, like with Sherwin. He'll try and not force you, but talk with you about your decisions. But he'll still be like, this is your character at the end of the day. My favorite moment with him as the DM was when Brim had just killed 3 trees.
Yeah.
And he took, and he went back to the Chapel of St. Cuthbert and was literally with the most chaotic minded that Brim has been in a while, ever until before it recently, but just so unsure about which way he was falling. He was so scared of going evil or going good, and he's like, well, what am I meant to be? Like, I pray every morning, every night, and I get no answer, but I still believe. What am I meant to do? And he was just like, this isn't for a God to tell you. This is for you to choose. And it sounds like you're already trying to make your decision. And that was, mine, like, Brim just out there, and, like, especially after the stream, I think when we cut it and we were just talking amongst ourselves, it was literally just, oh. I love you, man.
Oh, he is watching.
Yes.
I love him so much.
Yep.
Don't worry,
On
guys.
this
We're
day,
just
the day of
dirt.
John's 50th birthday.
Yeah. Dang it, now how am I going to start crying? Freak, he should have come in. It was a huge moment for me as Josh and for me as Brim because I was having a really hard time in my life at that point as well. And it was really trying to decide, am I going to keep trying to be the good person that I feel that I am, or am I just going to give up? Because the way the world feels like you're just going to keep going dark and you're going to keep getting kicked. So what's the point of trying? And in that moment, in the moment with Rin as well, where you're like, this is why I believe. It's not because I feel like God does this or Paylor does this. It's because it is up to us to decide and choose through these situations. And that was huge to me as well. And yeah, long hit, and that's it. Thank you.
All right, Roy, you're up after all that.
Okay.
No pressure.
There's a few moments that stand out. The barrel is really anytime I shrink an item.
True.
So there's been 4, and I've liked them all.
down there,
I'm
boy.
sorry about the people that died at the fort.
Yeah, oh, that was another.
I mean, if I could interject, I think Gimble's resurrection was a pretty amazing moment with John.
Yep.
Just
that happened.
the way he facilitated everything and
Yeah.
yeah.
That's the thing. Like you guys are saying, whether it's because when I reduce it, when I shrink an item, John doesn't know what's coming.
Right.
Yeah, pretty much.
But he works with it in a way that's like, okay,
Yeah.
well, let's see where this goes, right? Like the tree, as he expanded it sideways, he could have made Gimble get thrown off as it expanded. He could have made the wall stay there, but he knew he had a room on the other side, and he broke the wall as the guy found. It's like, sweet.
Yeah.
I didn't know that was there.
Yeah.
Thank you.
More
He opens up these opportunities.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I definitely didn't know that. He opens up these opportunities, and just like the resurrection, like he opened up that opportunity, and thankfully all your mad chatters and everyone helped me because I don't roll good enough. I almost died for real. So yeah, just the opportunities I would say that he creates within everything that's going on. So that's my answer. Unfortunately, we weren't able to have Vivi here. So Vivi,
next year. Oh, so we're planning this for next year, folks. If you're watching, John's already approved it. He said it's a great idea.
Said we're gonna
Jenny
have
has no
5
idea.
food trucks next year.
Yeah, so just be prepared. Start making your plans now. Take your vacations. It's fine.
Get ready.
My best guess, by the way, for Vivi's moment would have been the Drew moment in the grove.
I disagree.
I
Would have been
disagree as
her as a
well.
bear with gimbal on her back.
Yes.
That is
Definitely that
easily
point.
Do you mean when she buried the fan,
Bear?
or when she was talking to Drew and he
When-
gave her the plant?
Yes, the where they were having the conversation, he
Yep.
actually gave her the plant
Yep.
to protect. And, yeah, I think that was one of the most powerful exchanges for Lilith, at least from my perspective.
From your perspective, yeah.
Oh, now we can do the same.
Now you can.
Yeah. So if I don't know.
So, if you're watching and you like what you're seeing, and you haven't followed, or if you're a subscriber and you haven't either gifted a sub or weirdly followed,
What?
Or if your
Or
sub
follower.
is expired,
And you could subscribe. Yeah.
and you want to
Subscribe.
renew it,
Yeah.
we here at Blue Box, me as John Jr., have one question for you. What are you doing? Go ahead, subscribe, throw a subscribe at someone else, follow us, please. We want to help you out and love you.
And there's
And
more
stay
to come.
on because there's more coming.
More coming. Always coming here at Blue Box.
and I'm pretty sure that was. I'm pretty sure that was our most instinct. What are you doing?
I know it was.
Well, we're all remote.